Yo, what's up, you guys? Welcome to the video. Today is a Spin Master Monster Jam collection video. It's Saturday, so we'll go ahead and start the video with Gears Blue Thunder. Now, this thing, gold chassis and wheels with white roll cage and tires with gold beacon printing with white Astro tread. Moving on to Ice Grave Digger. Now this thing. Blue chassis and wheels with white roll cage with clear blue tires with white beacon printing with white ice treads. Moving on to Zombie Megalodon. Now this thing. Black chassis with red roll cage with green wheels, black beacon printing with glitter treads. Moving on to Galaxy's Monster Mutt Dalmatian. Now this thing. Cyan blue chassis, roll cage and cyan blue chassis, tires and bead locks with cyan chassis, beacon to printing and bead locks with black roll cage and tires with purple galaxy tread. Moving on to Fire Son of a Digger. Now this thing. Red chassis and wheels with yellow roll cage with red wheels and beacon printing with yellow fire treads. Moving on to Hunter Max D. Now this thing. Gray chassis with brown roll cage with mahogany wheels and chrome beacon printing with Hunter Gray treads. Moving on to Gears Alien Invasion. Everything looks the same as Blue Thunder. Moving on to Ice Dragon. Everything looks the same as Grave Digger. Moving on to Zombie El Toro Loco. Now this thing. Black chassis with yellow roll cage with red wheels with black beacon printing with zombie treads. Moving on to Galaxy's Bakugan Dragonoid. Everything looks the same as a Dalmatian. Moving on to Fire Grey Clips Mohawk Warrior. Everything looks the same as Son of a Digger. Moving on to Hunter Earthshaker. Everything looks the same as Max D. Moving on to the Neo Galaxy Grave Digger. Now this thing. White chassis with light purple roll cage with pink wheels, teal tires with white beacon printing. Moving on to the Nitro Grave Digger. Now this thing. pink chassis with black roll cage tires with purple beacon printing and bead locks with teal wheels. Moving on to Beakety Customs Gravedigger. Now this thing purple chassis and wheels with green roll cage and bead locks with Beakety printed tires. Moving on to Beakety Customs Gravedigger Orange. Now this thing orange silver chassis with orange roll cage and wheels, Beakety printed tires. Moving on to Beakety Customs Gravedigger Red. Now this thing red silver chassis with red roll cage and wheels, Beakety printed tires. Moving on to Beakety Customs Gravedigger Purple. Now this thing black chassis with purple roll cage, blue wheels, Beakety printed tires. Moving on to Beakety Customs Son of a Digger. Now this thing blue chassis, silver chassis and wheels with blue roll cage, purple bead locks, Beakety printed tires. Moving on to Beakety Customs Great Son of a Digger Yellow. Now this thing silver chassis and wheels with yellow roll cage with purple bead locks in the front, Beakety printed tires. Moving on to Beakety Customs Bad News Travels Fast. Now this thing orange chassis with black roll cage with silver wheels, orange bead locks, Beakety printed tires. Moving on to Beakety Customs Aftershock. Now this thing yellow chassis and wheels with blue roll cage, Beakety printed tires. Moving on to Beakety Customs Rainbow Blast. Now this thing red chassis with black roll cage and wheels, Beakety printed tires. Moving on to Beakety Customs Kraken. Now this thing copper chassis with dirt brown roll cage, pink wheels, Beakety printed tires. Moving on to Beakety Customs Velociraptor. Now this thing Silver chassis with black roll cage and wheels, big for the tires. Moving on to Biggity Customs Jurassic Attack. Now this thing. Purple silver chassis with purple roll cage and wheels, big for the tires. Moving on to Biggity Customs Northern Nightmare. Now this thing. Silver chassis with red roll cage, orange wheels, big for the tires. Moving on to Biggity Customs Blue Thunder. Now this thing. Silver chassis with green roll cage and wheels, big for the tires. Moving on to Biggity Customs Time Flies. Now this thing. Silver chassis and roll cage with black wheels, big for the tires. Moving on to Biggity Customs Lucas Stabilizer. Now this thing. Silver chassis with black roll cage, red wheels, big for the tires. Moving on to Biggity Customs El Toro Loco. Now this thing. Black chassis with silver roll cage, orange wheels, big for the tires. Moving on to Biggity Customs Earthshaker. Now this thing. Silver chassis and roll cage with yellow wheels, big for the tires. Moving on to Biggity Customs Dragon. Now this thing. Silver chassis with black roll cage with orange wheels, green wheels, big for the tires. Moving on to Biggity Customs Megalodon. Now this thing. Silver chassis and roll cage with aqua wheels, big for the tires. Moving on to Biggity Customs Avenger. Now this thing. Silver chassis with black roll cage with red wheels, big for the tires. Moving on to Biggity Customs Big Kahuna. Now this thing. Silver chassis with black roll cage, blue wheels, big for the tires. Moving on to Bigotry Custom Zombie. Now this thing, yellow chassis and wheels with maroon roll cage with Bigotry printed tires. Moving on to Bigotry Customs Max D. Now this thing, silver chassis with green roll cage and wheels, Bigotry printed tires. And now, moving on to the original Gravedigger. Now this thing, silver chassis with black roll cage and tires with yellow wheels. Moving on to Gravedigger the Legend. Now this thing, black chassis roll cage and tires with silver wheels. Moving on to the retro Gravedigger. Now this thing, black chassis and tires with green roll cage and wheels. Moving on to Gravedigger 7. Now this thing, silver chassis and wheels with green roll cage with flotation tires. Moving on to the green Ghost Gravedigger. Now this thing, also a silver chassis and wheels with green roll cage with flotation tires. Moving on to the 30th anniversary Gravedigger. Now this thing, silver chassis and wheels with green roll cage and B-locks with black tires. Moving on to the 40th anniversary Gravedigger. Now this thing, silver chassis and wheels with black roll cage with purple B-locks with black tires. Moving on to Son of a Digger. Now this thing, silver chassis and wheels with blue roll cage and B-locks with black tires. Moving on to the original Gravedigger. Now this thing, black chassis and tires with yellow wheels. Moving on to 1984, the grain truck Gravedigger. Now this thing, silver chassis, wheels, and tires. They're all black. Moving on to the 1986 Grandma Gravedigger. Now this thing, black chassis and wheels with black chassis and tires with brown wheels. Moving on to the Gravedigger ride truck. Now this thing, with the seats in the back, with green chassis wheels with black tires. Moving on to the green Nitro Neon Gravedigger. Now this thing got green chassis, roll cage and tires with white wheels. Moving on to the blue Nitro Neon Son of a Digger. Now this thing silver blue chassis and light blue chassis and tires with dark blue roll cage with white wheels. Moving on to the yellow Nitro Neon Earthshaker. Now this thing got yellow chassis and tires with brown roll cage with white wheels. Moving on to the pink Nitro Neon Calavera. Now this thing got tires, wheels, roll cage, and chassis all pink. Moving on to the teal Nitro Neon Blue Thunder. Now this thing, teal chassis and wheels with brown roll cage and tires. Moving on to the lime green Nitro Neon Gravedigger. Now this thing, lime green chassis, wheels, and tires with black roll cage. Moving on to the 2024 green Neon Max T. Now this thing, green chassis and wheels with silver roll cage with yellow tires. Moving on to the 2024 orange Neon Max T. Now this thing, orange chassis and wheels with blue silver roll cage with yellow tires. Moving on to the orange Nitro Neon Max D. Now this thing, orange chassis, wheels, and tires with black roll cage. Moving on to the yellow Nitro Neon Max T. Now this thing, silver chassis with yellow roll cage and tires with black wheels. Moving on to the green Nitro Neon Max T. Now this thing, blue silver chassis with green roll cage and tires with black wheels. Moving on to the purple Nitro Neon Max D. Now this thing got a purple chassis, wheels, and tires with white roll cage. Moving on to Custom Elementals Trucks Gravedigger. Now this thing got purple chassis with black roll cage with green and yellow wheels on the left and orange and red wheels on the right with blue tires. Moving on, last but not least, to Custom Phased Out Son of a Digger. Now this thing with white chassis with black roll cage with 2 red wheels, 1 black wheel, and 1 white wheel with 2 white tires and 2 black tires. And that'll be it. Make sure you like, subscribe for more of the details on the video of Parker Wilson's Blinkers Amigos. Make sure you like and subscribe. Also turn on your notifications to YouTube. Goodbye.